So, hi, Sue. Great to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. Really brilliant to be here.
Oh, no, it's fabulous to see you. And I know that you've literally just kind of jetted in to the UK recently. So thank you so much for making the time.
No, it's brilliant. Thanks, Sarah.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. So, for anyone who hasn't heard of WeAre8, and also I think that you guys also just refer to yourselves as 8 sometimes, but yeah. So WeAre8. Can you tell us a little bit about the business, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So for people, it enables people to make positive impact and change the world in just 2 minutes a day, all by watching a couple of brand messages. So now we can get paid and valued and help pay off our mobile bill all by watching a couple of brand videos. And so for brands, we just make it super easy for them to reach people in a much more direct and respectful way, delivering better ROI compared to their traditional media results. But our whole bigger mission in the 8 is all about the power of brands and people coming together to change the world. Because when we look at the waste of the $550 billion advertising ecosystem, and so much of that money going into the hands of the large tech platforms, our whole mission was to bring that money back to people and the planet.
So, I mean, that is an extraordinary amount of money, isn't it? And it's all going back into those sort of platform owners and that sort of central person, whereas the users, you and I, and the influencers are just not actually sort of seeing any of that. So this is a totally new offering, and you talk about putting people and purpose very much at the center of the advertising ecosystem, which is just such an interesting concept and feels very relevant for right now. I know that you guys obviously were very ahead of the curve because you've been going for a little while, but it feels like the tipping point is now. So how does that actually work in reality?
Yes, so on television, it felt there was a sort of implicit value exchange. If we look back, we'd watch television. The television network would fund all the programming, invest in all the programming, provide that for free, and we would watch a few ads to watch it. So there was this implied beautiful value exchange. Roll on to now, and we have social networks where we're providing all the content and we're being used and sold, and they're keeping all the money. So there was something that just the injustice of that really struck us. And it's insane that we live in a world where we're all super connected. Advertisers are wanting to reach us individually, and yet we're not part of the economic equation. So that's really what we've flipped. Every time a brand spends £1, we still deliver against the results, but the money flows through to people and a donation gets made. So as a consumer, as a person, every time I watch a brand message, I'm now feeling valued, rewarded, and I know that a donation is being made as well. So
what was that light bulb moment for you, Sue? What kind of I mean, it's so you so eloquently described it, and actually you explain it makes me think, yes, of course there's an injustice. That is just but you putting it into words, what was the moment for you?
That injustice has just shone for me. It's my personal biggest driver, because it's not just we the people are the largest unpaid workforce in human history, actually. And even if that money can help pay our mobile bills and, get a meal to someone in need through Fair Share, they're getting a meal to someone in need for 25p. There's 3 million children across the UK alone who can't get enough food. There's 8 million people in the UK that total that can't get enough food. And yet you think if we have 8 million people spending 2 minutes a day and funneling that money through to causes, we can literally create a sustainable end to child food poverty and food poverty. So for me, it was actually seeing the injustice not just on a micro level, but the power of billions of micro amounts and the economic power of that being redirected back to people and then through to things that matter. So I don't. Before I built WeAre8, I built a data company called Standard Media Index, and we were built systems inside all the media agencies, and we were tracking all these billions of dollars of ad spend. And as we saw all of this money across the ecosystem, and over the last 12 years, more and more money has been going to the big tech platforms, obviously Google, Facebook, and it just felt wrong that there are 800 million people on the planet that can't get enough water. There is over 1 billion people that don't have enough access to food, and yet we've got so much money and waste in the ad ecosystem. It was, for us, all about eliminating waste. And by the way, at the same time, we thought the digital world is only delivering the average engagement rate is under 1% on a digital ad. So it's not like it's even working today. I mean, we think this is our status quo, it's good. Do you know what? It's not. It means that 99% of people are not engaged with your ad. So that world was broken. The way we deliver an ad is fundamentally broken. And if we shift that money, we can solve the world's biggest problems together. So I think for me, it was a number of things that all came together that helped us join the dots. The challenge was then, how do we build something in such a simple way so that for people, they can just register and get brand messages sent to them, and they're changing the world and paying their mobile bills? And how do we make it easy for brands to just shift some dollars, get the results, and then it all comes together?
So it's like it's a numbers game, isn't it? In a way, because there are these billions and billions of pounds and dollars flowing through the system, not actually currently doing any good. So if you could just take a little bit from each budget, I guess, and do some good with that, then that actually is gonna have a huge effect. And I wanted to just ask you about the charity element of it, because I think the beauty from my research, the beauty of the WeAre8 model is that so the actual users and influencers are paid, and then they also get to pay it forward to a charity of the media owner or the brand's choice. So it's 5%, isn't it, of campaign spend is donated. What charities have benefited so far, and what level of donations are we talking about?
Yes, so Sarah, there's two elements of donation. So every time I watch an ad, I know that the brand is making a donation, and it's clear when I get the message who they're donating to. So that could be Feeding America, Fair Share, the Trussell Trust, National Emergencies Trust. EE are doing a big program with UNICEF here in the UK. But in parallel to that, when I get paid every time I watch an ad between 10 and 20p, I've also have the choice to pay that forward to a charity. So 57% of people are paying it forward to a charity of their choice as well, which is amazing. We've built the whole thing based on giving people the control. So without any judgment, you can use the money you earn to pay your mobile bill. You can pay it into PayPal, or you can use it to further donate. And it really blows us away that the stats are 57%, because that's huge. And we think that's only going to grow the more people realize and wake up to their power that, oh my God, in 2 minutes a day, I can watch a couple of brand messages and get a meal or two to someone in need.
Yeah.
Through Fair Share. I mean, that's that's such a magical, easy, joyful thing for us all to do.
And I'm sure, gosh, when you set up the business with this incredible kind of purpose at the heart of it, you obviously none of us knew about kind of COVID and what lay ahead, but it just feels more relevant than ever. And you mentioned Fair Share and the Trussell Trust, who are doing incredible work. So it's just more important than ever right now that business is doing good. So wow, well done.
Absolutely. It's we're seeing this real brands want to do good. I mean, we've got this whole B Corp sort of emergence, and brands like, Patagonia and even brands like Brewdog and others really stepping up and inspiring other brands. I think it has to be a business driver too. It's always a balance between economics. For the brands, it's about giving them a solution that's more cost efficient and effective from a media plan, because then it's not token dollars moving, it's serious dollars moving, and they're changing the world. And similarly for people, people want to change the world, but if they're paying their mobile bill at the same time and getting paid for their time, then that's really true. So we did a lot of work around behavioural change and the power of economic return and impact and good. And the two are not mutually exclusive. They balance and work together.
Of course. And I think sometimes, when we're talking about the conscious consumer and purpose-led brands, we sort of shy away from talking about profitability and it's almost a dirty word. And that's just not right, because triple bottom line sustainability, so planet, people and profit, those things have to be in balance, because if you're not a profitable business, then you're not a business, and then you can't be doing good. So I think we need to kind of shift that mindset a little bit away from feeling that profit is almost like a dirty word, because those three things have to be in sync in order to be a sustainable business and be able to deliver that good.
Absolutely. And money and economics is, as you say, Sarah, it's not a dirty word. We've had on occasion someone at a brand say to us, "What, you pay people to watch a brand message?" And we say, absolutely, because today you're paying Facebook to reach Sarah. Why wouldn't you give Sarah the value and the power? And, we see with millennials and Gen Zs, and, money is not a dirty word. In fact, in a world where trust is eroded and every single person is being bombarded with, they say, over 10,000 ad impressions a day. I don't know about you, Sarah, but I can't remember. By the end of it's just become wallpaper. So by the end of the day, I can't remember one ad impression that's tried to reach me. So would you, brand, rather be engaging Sarah respectfully, having her engage with you for 45 seconds, intentionally feel valued, get paid, have a donation made in Sarah's name, or be one of 10,000 ad impressions that interrupt me when I'm on my way to watch something else? It's so outrageous that any brand and can think paying Facebook is okay, but paying the people is not okay. We're going to look back in 2 years, I think probably even 12 months, and say, oh my God, we were just getting it wrong.
You're so right. It's not working. And you talking about those impressions. I mean, I'm thinking, when I was scrolling through Instagram last night, what do I remember? It is wallpaper, isn't it? But if you are almost kind of opting into the process, and the content is meaningful and relevant, and you're feeling like, as a user, you're not just actually just being kind of used and abused and bombarded with information that is not relevant and that you haven't asked for, it
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's a no-brainer. It really is. So just leading on from that, Sue, so your proposition is all about delivering a brand message in a more efficient and effective way, which results in better engagement rates, stronger consumer relationships, and positive social impact, which we've talked about. So tell us a little bit more about that, the better engagement rates and the stronger consumer relationships.
Yeah, so as a someone that's been obsessed for 30 years with the brand consumer relationship, seeing what's happening in digital has been enormously frustrating because, we're seeing an average engagement rate of 1%. We're seeing an average click-through rate of 0.08%. And they say half of that's by accident anyway. There was Civic Science released a study yesterday that they did a study of 10,000 people that said 70% of people are saying any ads they see are not even relevant. They're calling a video view 3 seconds because the reality is people aren't staying on them for longer. So, we see how it's working now as so fundamentally broken, including the impression metric. I mean, impression is served, it's the opportunity, technically it's the opportunity for someone to see your ad. So I could be reading something else, it's the opportunity for someone to see your ad, which is in itself a sort of a broken metric. So we unpacked those and thought, okay, our mission is to, at a macro level, deliver an ad to Sarah or anyone more respectfully. So to start with, we had a thesis that we've now proven at scale, that if we were completely transparent with Sarah, and the deal was in 2 minutes a day, we'd love to serve you brand messages at a time. You can watch them at a time of your choice, and you get the lion's share of the money, and a donation gets made every time you watch one. And by the way, you can pay it forward to a charity if you choose, no judgment. So coming at it from that perspective, our thesis was, digital marketing has completely stripped the value of humanity, completely disrespects us, bombards us, uses us, sells us. And we're saying, do you know what? It's disgusting. Enough of that. And by the way, it doesn't work anyway. Let's deliver an ad more respectfully. So when we do that, the engagement goes from 0 or under 1% to 100%. We guarantee 100% engagement, or the brand doesn't pay. And then someone is watching a video and answering a couple of questions. At the end of that, they can choose to click through or not. So we're seeing really high click-through rates as a result, because people are engaging, watching the ad on their terms. They're feeling valued. They're changing the world. Oh, I'll click through and learn more. So across engagement rates, click-through rates, the thing we underestimated was the power of the community. Sarah, we've set out to prove that we deliver better media metrics, but what actually happens is, for the first time, people are feeling really heard because they're answering questions, and you have 45 seconds of Sarah's attention with the video and the questions. So we're restoring respect, and not just that. There's something quite magical when you're making change to the world with your customers. You're not just serving them an ad, but the act of doing that is getting someone a meal, or getting someone water, or helping reverse climate change, and that is elevating.
That's incredible. So because of the transparency and the respect and all of these incredible values that essentially underpin WeAre8 and your offering, does that affect the types of brands who are coming to you to spend with you? Are they the brands who are actually trying to appeal to the conscious consumer? Are they purpose-driven brands, or are they some actually really kind of big organizations who traditionally might have not quite operated in that space, but now maybe want to be genuinely want to change, want to be more ethical, want to be more sustainable?
So, look, all of the brands that took part in the Facebook boycott are obviously really interested. You know, there are 1,000 brands there. We're a B Corp, so fellow B Corp brands are really looking for sustainable, ethical channels. But I think every brand leader knows, unless you have a direct relationship with your customers and you stand for something that they care about, you're going to be in trouble in the next 5 years. So even if you're not a B Corp, even if you're just starting out on your ethical path or path to support the planet or whatever, we're a good way to do it because we deliver business results all while doing good. And so it's an easy start for anyone who's not, made that their sole purpose. And so we're seeing any consumer brand from, insurance to FMCG products right across the board, it works for. And it's all about making your customers and potential customers feel really good and valued, because it is intentional attention that we're getting for the first time really in the history of advertising. Traditionally it'd be delivered through television or radio, and that was beautiful. But now we live in a digital world, and it's almost like social platforms came that connected people and did all these great things, and yet we never tailored an ad construct that was equally as innovative. We took video ads from TV and whacked it into digital
in a totally thoughtless way.
That's right.
It was so unconsidered.
That's exactly right. And so, it never caught up. So what we're doing now is just adding that considered, intentional, it's about time the ad industry caught up to the innovation that's happening in the rest of the world. Every single person is a publisher now. Every single person has their own brand. Every single person has value. We need a model that can equally value people. And it's not just, the change that can, getting money in people's pockets, getting money to charity is all good. But something more magical is we've got a community feed in our app. So people have their wallet in our app, and then they can join the community feed and celebrate being part of the community. And we've got some super exciting things happening in that, because we want it to feel like a giant global celebration that can bring people joy in 2 minutes a day, because you are literally changing the world with the world in 2 minutes a day. But that whole joyful, empowered thing, it's almost, I think Facebook are shocking for many reasons. They fuel hate, they strip us of our value. But I really think the most outrageously bad thing is what they haven't done. They connect 2 billion people on the planet, but they've never united us for good. I mean, in reality, you think about COVID on WeAre8, when we have everyone united, I mean, even, with 30, 40 million people in the UK, but as we unite people around the world, we're going to be able to say, COVID's hit, brands, step up. People, if you spend 5 minutes a day, these brands are going to donate to the National Emergencies Trust or whatever. It's the immediate mechanism to solve problems and help people in a way that, I just don't think Facebook stepped up. They connect 2 billion people, use it.
Yeah, why have they not? I mean, it kind of ignites a bit of an anger, doesn't it? And a bit of rage in the pit of our stomachs. It's just, what a waste. You have that community. It is completely connected.
I think, something grows out of its original intention. And it was intended Well, it was actually intended so guys could get dates and judge women, actually. But the initial intention was to, connect and then judge and everything that it's manifested in its biggest form. Our intention is quite purely to inspire and empower and enable 1 billion people to change the world and make positive impact in 2 minutes a day. So the reality is it's going to get money in your pocket to help pay your mobile bill. Brands, it's going to deliver greater efficiency and effectiveness. Otherwise, you won't put money with us. But the bigger manifestation is the joy of humanity connecting to really solve the world's biggest problems. I mean, I can't see any other way that we're going to unite to help reverse climate change. I just had these great conversations with youth climate leaders around the world, and they're saying with such passion, don't leaders know that we have 8 years? Brands are talking about being carbon neutral in 2035. We're going to be dead. And so this whole idea that we need technology constructs that unite people in a way that makes it simple, because 1 billion people don't want to be climate activists, but 1 billion people might watch a couple of brand videos if it's going to pay off their mobile bill and do good in the world, and they're part of a positive community.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that those foundations, those values and those beliefs that you have as a business when you set out can either create a monster like Facebook, or can create a truly an awesomely powerful, purpose-led business like your own brand, your own business, that actually does good. And if you're staying true to those values, then you're set.
Absolutely, Sarah. And everything we do, that's our true north. Does it bring value to people? Does it reward them? Does it make positive impact in the world? And then hard coding that for us, that was a big part of us becoming a B Corp, making that hard coded. I mean, the reality is, I'm sure, look, Zuckerberg, Facebook set out to do that. They wanted to connect and get dates, and they were, judging women and all the rest of it. But they didn't mean to do harm. I really don't believe that. But the thing is, because profit is the driver, profit and greed and shareholder value is the driver, then nothing else gets considered. So everything gets sacrificed because that's the true north. I mean, we see stop hate for profit. We see the money that they're stripping, not just from people as publishers, but every publishing company on the planet. They've sucked all of the money out of the ecosystem, which is destroying so much of our media, so much of free journalism, as well as stripping value from the people. So I think, they say what destroys more houses is a fire, earthquake, floods. It's actually termites. And so it's that slower, this is in the US, that slow erosion. And we don't realize that our entire foundation is eroded until the house crumbles. And we're at that point where they have so much power, but their vulnerability is their greed. And that's the Achilles heel, because the more people unite on WeAre8 and are valued and paid, and the more brands that see the results, the better it is for people in the world.
Mentioning the termites, that's such a great analogy to just almost not be aware of the damage and the erosion. And it feels like we've been sleepwalking for so many years, just that total lack of awareness. And suddenly, actually, it almost is like some kind of reawakening, and we are just suddenly becoming aware and empowered to say no and to make positive choices.
Absolutely. You articulated that so beautifully. And Because there's something quite magical, right, about technology, that in 2 minutes a day, I can feel really valued. Because I don't think, it's like a frog in a pot of hot water. We don't realize we've been so stripped of it. We know in our guts something's off. We know we're used. We know we're served ads. We know we don't get any money. We know something's off, but we don't know how to fix it. And that's really the technology that we've built. We've spent the last 5 years and $26 million building technology to make it so easy for people to feel valued in 2 minutes a day. And we've realized that changing the world and being part of, 10 million people that can help end food poverty in the UK, or 40 million people that can help reverse climate change, or being part of 1 billion people to do this, there's something so joyful. We realize that in our feed, in the app, we just want that to feel like the most joyful party, because as we realize our exponential power as human beings, and then the exponential power of you individually and us all as a collective to really change the world and solve the problems, that's reason for a party, Sarah.
It is. That is a reason to celebrate. And this feeling that we are kind of taking back control a little bit as individuals.
A lot.
And doing good. Yeah.
Fully taking back control, because, and we're all about transparency and holding ourselves accountable. I mean, I often think, why wouldn't Facebook ever do that? But they don't want people becoming too powerful, because God forbid we'll hold them accountable. We want to be held accountable. We want people to have the power that they deserve. And when I hear the voices of these climate youth activists, I just think, Sarah, what are we doing? And this is why we need technology built by women and diverse everyone, because we come at things with a different mindset. I couldn't get up, at the crazy times I do every morning and be this driven if it wasn't for a higher purpose. If it was just to build a more efficient way an effective way for brands to deliver their ads, I don't really, that doesn't drive me. But we had to build that in order to unite people to solve the world's biggest problems. And so that higher purpose is, what are our kids going to say? Mum, what did you do to help reverse climate change? I just want them to be proud. That's actually all I care about, Sarah.
So I am with you, Sue. I am with you. And when I look at the little cute little faces of I have 2 boys, I just think, gosh, we need to we cannot leave a mess to you kids to sort out. We need to be doing our bit now.
Absolutely.
This cannot wait. So talking about boys, and that actually brings me on to a question that I would really like to ask you, Sue, about the lack of women in tech. So you just mentioned diversity, which is just so important. The lack of women in tech is talked about an awful lot, and this has been your world. I mean, looking at researching you have an extremely impressive CV. So I mean, I was kind of almost quite nervous about talking to you today, because your Wikipedia page, you're very, very, very impressive, and you have been in tech since day one. So, but the lack of women in tech is concerning. What are your thoughts?
I think we have a major perception issue, because firstly, we need women in tech, and we need women in big tech, because the architecture of the worlds that we're living in. I mean, if we look at Facebook, Instagram, Google, Snapchat was started again for can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly.
Snapchat was started for very similar reasons. It was guys wanting to date, girls in school, at university, and then the photos to disappear. So we're living in a digital world constructed by, young 20-year-old guys. And that's massively concerning. And we need constructs that are uniting and bringing value to people, that are architected with a different mindset. I mean, we're really working hard on our own internal diverse coding team and tech team. But I don't think tech companies are held accountable enough. I'd love to see a photograph of the tech team at Facebook, Google, etc., standing together. Is there enough diversity there? I think there's a lot of tokenism happening. And women aren't feeling comfortable in those environments. And I know, in terms of raising capital, I walk into a room as an older woman and I just don't look the part, Sarah. I don't look like a 20-year-old young guy that's going to build a company that's going to have 1 billion people on it and be bigger than Facebook. I don't look like that person. So the perception of what a tech leader should look like is hard-coded into men and women. And I think that whole Silicon Valley thing, whilst it's good and it built companies, it's also created a stereotype that is really dangerous. I mean, we see the CEO of Bumble, the rise, which is fantastic. We're seeing other women come up, but the words women and small business often go together. You never hear men and small business. The word small needs to be eradicated.
Yeah, it's patronizing, and it's demeaning, and it's really interesting, but so disturbing to hear you talk about walking into a room full of investors and that feeling that you're not fitting the traditional the bill, basically. Despite the fact that you are incredibly bright and you have the drive and the vision that that most men could only dream of. It's just frustrating and so short-sighted, and it's a major issue, because then women are not going to get the investment, and that's a problem.
And I see that all the time. I speak to women all the time that are challenged with that. What is it? 2%, 2 to 3% of all VC funding is still for women. It's minuscule, embarrassingly terrible. And then it's a lot of sort of I don't know. It just feels token-like, I think.
The tokenism is worrying in itself, isn't it? Because then if that becomes a thing, then that is the perception of the senior female or whatever it might be.
Fully, because I could not have architected this solution it's super simple for people and brands, but all the stuff underneath it, the data engine, the targeting infrastructure, that if I hadn't spent 30 years in an industry understanding how data works, the industry works, how media is bought, if I hadn't built all of that, we wouldn't have been able to build it. So I think that we need all different ages, all different races, all different viewpoints, all different genders. We need diversity in tech at every level so that we can create tech for good. And in parallel to the tech, we need the funding infrastructure to be in parallel to that, because unfortunately, most of the funding comes from the same kind of people. So people then invest in themselves, and it fuels this terrible thing. And so I think we are chipping away. We are starting to see women, rise up, but we've got to go faster. We've got to support each other. We've got to fuel each other. And we've simply got to build something that shows women can architect systems that are better.
Sue, have you read or heard of a book called Invisible Women?
No.
I will put it in the show notes of the podcast, and I'll send you a link to it. It is an absolutely fascinating read. I'm about halfway through at the moment. And it essentially is exactly what you're talking about. Women have not been represented and at all in the world, essentially, and taken into account when when road planning has been taken into account.
Wow.
and town planning and cities throughout the world. It is absolutely fascinating. But basically, all of the world's data is based on men. So women have not been represented, and it is an really, really fascinating book.
I'm
send you
excited
the link.
to read it. Exciting.
But yeah, we need representation and inclusion and diversity is just so important.
And
we could do a whole podcast talking about that.
And look, it's just, this is not, I have 3 beautiful white sons, young men who are coming into the world super respectful and kind and everything. So I think when we have diverse and leadership at every level, we don't want to suppress others. We want to elevate others. And that's why we need it, because we have sons, family, friends. We look at the world from a more diverse perspective, and those unconscious biases, I just worry that they're not going to go. So the best way to do it, Sarah, is for us to get to 1 billion people united on WeAre8 in the next 2 years, so that then people, it speaks for itself. We need more women, because we need the success stories to and I look at women on my team that are just phenomenal. We need them to inspire others. And I look at what so many women, Tessa Clark, the founder of Olio, and all of these other female leaders and what they're doing. I think it's time. And we can't do it in a way that suppresses men and have what was done to us done to them. We have to elevate all.
Yeah, and it's about the men in our lives and in our world becoming allies, and speaking out. And I might have to pick your brain separately offline about bringing up boys, Sue. I don't know. I'd love any tips would be greatly appreciated.
Right back at you.
Oh my goodness, it's been so interesting talking to you. I've got a couple more questions. I'm really mindful of your time. I would just love to chat to you all day, Sue. It's just so it's such an energizing experience. But I just wanted 2 questions. Firstly, happy B Corp month, obviously. So WeAre8 is a certified B Corp, and of course, congratulations to that. Very, very well deserved. How was your journey to B Corp certification?
Well, that's an interesting one. So 2 of our investors, and I have an amazing female chair, Jerry Fennard, who she was on the board of a 7th generation, which ultimately sold to Unilever. But a couple of our investors and Jerry were very active foundation members of the whole B Corp movement. Mm-hmm. So they were brilliant inspiration for us and helped guide us. It was from very early on for us about hard coding everything we stand for. And then we went through the process. It's a very full-on process, which I think is good because it carries the value with it. So it's great to be part of that community. But our tech is all about making every company feel a bit of a B Corp because you're doing good, even if you're not a B Corp. So it's when you spend your ad dollars through WeAre8, you can get that feeling of doing good, even if you're not a B Corp.
such an interesting angle. I love that. So those brands are obviously feeling like they're sort of slightly kind of on that journey and doing good.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And one final question, Sue, if I can. So you are a founder, as I mentioned earlier. You know, your CV is incredibly impressive, and you're a founder of a number of successful businesses in addition to WeAre8. Many of our listeners, many of our Feel Good Brands listeners, are entrepreneurs and individuals with a great idea or like a burning desire to set up a profitable business that is good for people and planet. We've talked about that triple bottom line sustainability already. What would be your top, just a couple of top pieces of advice to anyone who is setting out on their journey and keen to set up or launch their purpose-led business?
For a start, go for it, Sarah. You know, my 85-year-old father is so divine. He still sends me little texts saying, "You can do it, Sue. Don't give up." I mean, it's amazing how much those little things really count. So pressure test your business idea. Make sure that it's solid, sound. Get people who are experienced to pull it apart with you. Really pressure test it, refine it, commit to it, obsess with it, then put people around you that are in the trenches, because it isn't an easy path. I mean, you know, when you set out to do something that hasn't existed before, you come up against all sorts of challenges. And so you have to be super resilient. So have those people around you that are in the trenches with you, and then be willing to pivot and change. I mean, even with WeAre8, we set out to, our mission has always been the same. We want to inspire, empower, enable 1 billion people to make positive impact every day. But the way the product evolved, we started off building a social network, then we added influencer elements. Now we've just simplified everything right down to this direct product where people can watch a couple of brand messages and make impact.
We are so excited to have you in the UK. Just please, can you just stay forever?
Yeah. I can.
So welcome to London and welcome to the UK. And thank you, Sue, so much for your time this morning. It's just been really fascinating and so enjoyable to chat to you. And we just wish the WeAre8 team and all of you the very best of luck, and look forward to keeping a close eye on your journey.